Hola, bienvenidos at Tina's Spanish Cafe, where we spend some time in conversation. Always have some cafecito, but most importantly, we're here to learn Spanish. Guess what today's lesson is? It came in by request. Direct object pronouns. And I know a lot of you are going to say, great, I need that lesson. And I knew that, so I had it on my to-do list. But when the request came in, I pushed it right to the top of the list. So we're going to go right into the lesson after I have my first sip of cafecito. Fantástico. I was thinking though that before we go into the lesson of direct object pronouns, we should review what the direct object is. Because really, what the direct object pronouns do is that they replace the direct object. So let's review that briefly. The direct object is the object that directly receives the action of the verb. It can be a person, so don't let that word object fool you. It can be singular or plural, and it answers the question what or whom. For instance, in the sentence, Joe bought a car, Joe bought what? A car. A car receives the direct action of the verb bought, and it answers the question what? So that is the direct object. Joe saw a girl. Joe saw whom? A girl. That makes girl in that sentence the direct object because it receives the action of the verb saw. So let's quickly review what the direct objects are in English. I chose very short, simple sentences so that we could concentrate on the lesson itself and not get confused by long, complicated sentences. And by the way, in this lesson, we're just going to cover the singular direct object pronouns. That'll give you some time to digest the lesson before we go into the plural forms. Okay, let's go. In English, the direct object pronouns, the first one is me, M-E. For instance, Jose. I'm using the name Jose for my subject throughout this lesson. Jose saw me. Jose saw whom? Me. Me, the direct object pronoun for the first person singular. I. You is the next one. Jose saw you. Jose saw whom? You. And if you notice, you in English is used both as a subject pronoun or as an object pronoun. What does that mean? It can perform the action, as when you say, you saw Jose, or it can receive the action, as Jose saw you. The next object pronoun in English is it. Jose saw the truck. Jose saw what? The truck. Therefore, the it, the direct object pronoun it, replaces the word or the direct object, which in this case is truck. We could simply say, Jose saw it. Him is the next one. Him, Jose, for instance, my sentence here, Jose saw dad. Jose saw whom? Jose saw dad. Him can replace dad. Okay? Jose saw dad. Jose saw him. Her is the next one. Jose saw her. Jose saw the girl, for instance. Jose saw whom? Jose saw her. So her, in this case, could replace, and I had mom here instead of the girl, but you get the idea, it's the same thing. Jose saw whom? Jose saw mom. So you could move her to the place of mom. Should we now move to the Spanish direct object pronouns, which is the real reason why we're here. Like in English, in Spanish, the direct object receives the action of the verb. It can also be, like in English, singular or plural, even though today, as I said before, we're going to do the singular forms. It can be feminine or masculine, which is the new component. In English, we don't have feminine or masculine. In Spanish, we do. And that makes sense because in Spanish, as you know, every noun is either feminine or masculine. And since the object pronouns replace the direct object, it makes sense that if the direct object is masculine, then the direct object pronoun is masculine. If the direct object is feminine, the direct object pronoun would also be feminine. A note here, in Spanish, when the direct object is a person, we use what we call the personal a. For instance, Jose vio a mamá. Jose saw mom. Because mom, of course, is a person, you put the a in there. If the direct object is a thing, you don't need the personal a. That's why it's called personal. Jose vio el camión. He saw the truck. You don't need the a there. Also, like in English, the direct object in Spanish answers the question, what or whom. Should we go right to them here? I used, like I said, the subject of Jose throughout this lesson to simplify things. The first person, the direct object pronoun for the first person in Spanish is me. I know some of you are going to see it and say me, but it's not. It's me. Remember that this is an A in Spanish. For instance, Jose me vio. Jose me vio. I have it right here. And you might also notice one thing, that the placement in Spanish, the direct object pronouns in Spanish come just before the conjugated verb. Remember when we did the English, that the direct object pronoun followed the conjugated verb. That's why we said Jose saw it. Jose saw him. Jose saw me. In Spanish, it precedes the conjugated verb. So Jose me vio. For the second person singular, tú in Spanish, the direct object pronoun is te. So Jose te vio. Jose vio a quién? Jose saw whom? You don't say tú, you say te. He saw you. Jose te vio. The next one is lo. When you see lo, the first thing that should go through your mind is, okay, it's a masculine word and it's a singular word. So this direct object pronoun lo is going to replace a direct object that is both masculine and singular. This is the direct object, lo, that we use for the third person singular. In English we say him and her and it. In Spanish we say lo. It's also the one that we used with usted. And it makes sense because if you remember, when you conjugate verbs in Spanish, the usted form, usted, you will remember, is the pronoun that we use when we are addressing a person in authority over us. The usted pronoun takes the same ending of the verb as he or she, the third person. So we do the same thing with the object pronoun. Lo, therefore, is the object pronoun when you're going to say him, her, and usted, the you formal. The example that I have here are examples. Jose vio a papá. Jose saw dad. José vio a quién? José saw whom? A papá. Remember that I talked about the personal a? That's what the a is doing. Papá is a person. Now, to replace papá, which is the direct object, with the direct object pronoun, you put the lo in front of the conjugated verb. José lo vio. Let's take the it. José vio el camión. Do you see that there isn't a personal a before camión? Because camión is a thing, of course. So, José saw what? José saw the truck. José vio qué? José vio el camión. So, el camión, which is the direct object, is replaced by lo, the direct object pronoun. See, all these direct object pronouns are doing their job, replacing the direct object here. José lo vio. The next one, remember I said it's also the direct object pronoun for usted. José vio a usted. I'm talking to someone in authority over me, whom I call Mr. Smith, and I would say, Mr. Smith, Señor Smith, José lo vio in the store. José saw you, sir. So, José lo vio. The direct object pronoun lo comes or precedes the conjugated verb. The next direct object pronoun is la. The only difference between lo and la is that lo, of course, is used for the third person singular and usted, but masculine, including it, because camión here, el camión, is a masculine word. That's why we used lo there. For la, the same thing except that it's used for the object pronouns that are feminine. Third person singular still. The her, the it, and usted if I am talking directly to a female that is in authority over me, in whom I call usted instead of tú. So let's do some examples. I'm doing as I've said before, the same examples. José, or José in Spanish, José vio a mamá. José saw mom. José vio a quién? José saw whom? A mamá. Mamá receives the direct action of the verb vio, and therefore is the direct object, and it is replaced by the direct object pronoun la. José la vio. Now, instead of el camión for it, I chose a feminine word here, feminine object. So, la casa. José vio la casa. José saw what? He saw the house. José vio qué? Not a quién this time, but qué, what? José vio la casa. Here, la casa or casa is the direct object, and it's going to be replaced by what? By la. José la vio. Precedes the conjugated verb, as I said before. Now for usted. Remember, feminine. José vio a usted. I'm talking to Mrs. Smith this time. Señora Smith, José la vio en la tienda. José saw you in the store. José vio a quién? He saw whom? He saw you, usted. José la vio. This is all for now. We'll see you real soon to do the plural forms of the direct object pronouns. Hasta la próxima y gracias.